When I went into engineering school, I honestly didn't really know what engineering was. I just had heard that it's using a lot of math and science to make technologies work. I knew very little about these technologies, let alone how to be successful in coursework or a subsequent career involving them. So, as a former engineering student and current mechanical engineer who has worked a few different engineering jobs, I would like to provide you my best advice for during your time as an engineering student. Before we go into my advice for you as a current or potential engineering student, I invite you to like this video and subscribe to this channel to continue getting insights about engineering careers and how to be successful in them. Be sure to stick around to the end of the video to hear the most crucial steps you should be taking for your current and future success. So, the first thing I will say, and I'm going to emphasize this very clearly, is start thinking about your career now. I don't care if you're a sophomore, a freshman, or still in high school, or whatever. Start thinking about it now if you're thinking you're going to be studying engineering. Because I know what you're thinking. Hey, I'm early on in my first year, or whatever. I want to just take it one step at a time. And I think you'll be thanking me in 4 years when you land one of the better entry level engineering jobs because you planned properly while you were at the step you're currently at. Because it does get really competitive, um, and it does get a little bit harder than you expect it to be getting into careers and finding your place in them than you expect it to be before you really know what full time jobs are. I myself, I really didn't understand what the job market was like until I got into it after college, and I wish I could have prepared better and known what to prepare for while I was still in college. So do your research, explore engineering positions or whatever other types of positions that companies need to be filling. And that's a crucial one. Look at what types of positions companies actually need to be filling. So don't just think about random passions you have. Find something that's in high demand, ideally stuff that companies are having a hard time filling, and then you get those skills, and then the company sees your value. And it is important, even though I say don't just follow your passion, but it is important that you find whichever field you go into interesting enough, because it's not going to be super sustainable if you don't find it interesting enough. You're going to be grinding away, disliking all of the 40 hours that you work, and just not going to be sustainable. So while it doesn't have to be something you're super passionate about necessarily, just something that's high demand that companies are having a hard time finding people for, and something that you find interesting enough. So once you decide what particular skill or what particular type of job that is, look at elective courses or organizations or research projects at your university that will teach you the relevant skills for that type of job. And then, crucially, get an internship in that type of position or as similar of one as possible as soon as you can. Because this is the stuff that's going to set you apart in the competitive environment to be able to land that particular type of job that you've planned out carefully. Because, and let's go back to the idea of choosing your passion, because too many people, I think, make this mistake of choosing a random passion and then saying that they intend to work in that field. They really don't learn about the supply and demand or how viable that field is, whether anyone's actually hiring for it, how competitive it is. Like, because those are a lot of very crucial pieces of information about it. Like, for instance, when I was starting off in engineering, there was one classmate who said that she was hoping to help design rides at Disneyland. And I mean, are there people who need to do that? Sure. But are there really that many positions for people who can do that versus the number of people who feel like they would enjoy doing that? I mean, I really don't know anyone who works on any type of fun thing like that. The people I know have worked in more, I hate to say important things, but stuff that's not necessarily a passion, such as aerospace or bridges, construction, or oil and gas, like stuff that actually keeps our society going, is the stuff that's more likely to be in short supply and viable career paths. And so, I mean, I'm not necessarily saying that you really can't do roller coasters, but I would say if you do, you definitely need to plan for how competitive it's going to be, plan your way into it and stuff. And I mean, I was guilty of this as well. I had thought, oh, I'm really passionate about renewable energy and I want to go into that, which, to be fair, like, I don't think I was necessarily hard set on it. I was open minded for if something else turned out to be easier to get. And and it's not like renewable energy doesn't have jobs. It certainly does, but it's really not getting nearly as much money, even though it's really crucial. Just it's not getting nearly as much government money or money just from consumers or anything as stuff like aerospace or automotive and stuff that's actually perceived as more crucial. I don't want to say that renewable energy isn't crucial, but unfortunately, it's just not getting enough money and the attention that it really needs. And so there's just not that many positions for it, unfortunately. So that's just my way of explaining don't be so focused on one particular passion that turns out to not be in that high of demand when there's other things that you're going to have a much easier time getting into. I think we also tend to think that the degree itself is going to be enough to land the position, which I think that used to be the case, and unfortunately, it just isn't anymore. Employers nowadays, they expect you to have at least some of the relevant skills for entry level positions, ideally all of them. And I mean, their pickiness is going to be a function of how many options they have and how competitive those options are. Because at the entry level, there's a lot of people trying to get into the field, a lot of people who have been doing their studying and doing their organizations and internships and research projects that have these particular types of skills, and you're going to have to compete with these people. So that's going to be important to know how to be able to get the skills you need to be competitive for these types of jobs. Because, yeah, I just need to be able to differentiate yourself. The entry level market is unfortunately just one of the tougher ones. So these are the reasons why it's important to think about your career early on, not just go about it without a plan, not just willy-nilly say, I'm going to study engineering and I'm going to apply to jobs and then I'm going to make 70K a year and live happily ever after. That's just not how it works, unfortunately. So, and like I said, I am going to be straight with you. Engineering at the entry level specifically is a lot more competitive than it used to be because people have seen that it gets people high paying jobs and it's practical skills that companies need. And so a lot more people are going into it and graduate with it than did in our parents' generation. And they have to compete for the same roles against each other. So that's a reason why you need to be differentiating yourself for whichever type of position you're going for or for a position at all. And I would say have backup plans that aren't necessarily engineering careers. It's certainly not a problem to make an engineering career your first choice and to be trying to get the skills for that and working toward that. I would recommend thinking about potential non-engineering careers that would be easy-ish to get into and that you can easily get the skills and that would value someone with an engineering degree. This is a good alternative backup plan for if engineering careers don't work out just because the entry level is very difficult or if it requires you to move to a place that you don't want to move to or stuff like that that would just make it more difficult. So, backup plans such as business, healthcare, tech, stuff that would value people with an engineering degree, which I think a lot of those would. I mean, healthcare, I mean, some people might say, like, yeah, if it doesn't work out, I can go to medical school or to PA school or something. And yeah, that could certainly be a viable path. I mean, medical school is super difficult. PA school is not as difficult, but yeah, I could see that being a potential next step if it's truly something that you see yourself being passionate about and having the correct lifestyle that you're looking for. So now let's talk about coursework. So engineering coursework, you already know it's hard. You're going to have to really spend your time immersing yourself in the concepts and gradually understanding them. And like I've said before, it's like learning a new language. You don't just quickly read a page of a book in Spanish or read a page of verbs in Hungarian and what their translation is, and suddenly you know how to speak that language or understand it. And engineering's the same way. You need to take your time and consistency, immersing yourself in it, reading the pages, looking at the practice problems, being around other people who are learning it, being around the professor who's talking about it. Just you learn it by speaking it and by just practicing it and being around it and stuff. And it's going to take some time. It's not going to be a quick, easy thing. This is also where time management's going to be necessary because you have to have enough of your time to give your time to this kind of stuff, to this immersion and whatnot. And you're going to also have to time manage to make time for your other commitments when you get involved in these organizations and research projects and internships and such that you'll need to be competitive for your future job. That's going to take some time management to make time for that stuff. And you are going to have some leisure time. We'll get into that a bit later, but so that is not optional. You do need at least some leisure time, even if it's like 15 minutes a day. But having fun, yeah, I'm not going to tell you not to have fun in college. I mean, I kind of agree it is a time that's viewed as a fun period of your life that you're not never going to be able to go back to. But I mean, there's definitely limits to this. You're going to have to make some degree of compromises on the fun that you have or the amount of time that you spend doing leisurely things. Because engineering school and coursework and the career preparation that you'll need by getting involved in organizations, internships, and research projects, that's going to take up the vast majority of your time, and also having to get enough sleep and whatnot. So time managing, and I recommend developing a time budget that'll help you to fit your needs in and make some leisure time because leisure time, it definitely is necessary. Just think about it. If you were every waking minute of your life, if you were busy with something, even if it wasn't necessarily something you disliked, I mean, some of it you will dislike, honestly, that's kind of inevitable, like all the tedious equations and stuff. But that's why, like, if you're just busy every waking moment with stuff that you need to do, you're going to burn yourself out. You need to have some time to unwind, some time to do stuff that's fun. And so just staying busy all the time is not particularly sustainable. So make sure you're time managing, make sure you're preparing for your career and getting the necessary skills, and make your lifestyle around this sustainable enough that you're not going to burn yourself up and then give up on all of it and everything like that. So I hope you found this all helpful, and I hope you can take this and implement it to have a successful set of coursework and set of classes in engineering, and then be able to graduate, get yourself into a fulfilling career. I wish you the best with all of that. And if you liked this video and found it helpful, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel to stay in the loop as I continue to offer more advice on engineering coursework and engineering careers. Thanks for tuning in. Talk to you soon. Bye.